Can I do this? I'm a ghost.
You absolutely can. And you can do that
Absolutely.
on the Weekly Show podcast. By the way, my name is Ryan.
Oh, and I just had my first shift at CrowdStrike last night. I hope I updated everything correctly.
I'm Jarrett.
That's us. I've been wanting to do that for about 170 episodes, and we fucking did it now.
I'm a ghost.
You are a ghost. You, well, let's see if you continue to be a ghost or if your camera sticks with us throughout this time. I think we fixed it, though. I'm going to be honest.
I think
you
we
look
did
very
too.
HD to me. Yeah.
You look incredibly high definition. I can see you in 4K, actually.
You can just like see into my pores and stuff. This is suddenly a liminal horror module.
Deep inside. It's like one of those pictures where you keep zooming in, but you keep finding more civilization. And it's like, you know what I mean? Does
Absolutely.
What I'm talking
or like
about?
one of those magic eye things where you see the picture inside the picture.
We're doing really well so far.
This is
so
normal
far
for us.
And I loved Magic Eye as a kid. That shit was so good.
I could always see that there was something there, but I could never tell what the fuck it was. You know, I could be like, it's right there. And then they're like, it's a giraffe. I'm like, no, it fucking isn't. But it was, apparently. It was a giraffe.
Yeah. It's a sailboat.
So this is Not Cat Chat 6?
Six? Question mark?
8.
8? It can't. No.
8.
I said 6. You said 8. It's probably 7.
I say 10.
But it's 6. It is in fact 6.
It is 6.
It is 6. That means we've been doing this for 6 months. Isn't that crazy?
6 months.
6 months of Not Cat Chats, and you were on prior to that. So for those that don't know what the fuck is going on right now, I do apologize for the massive amount of ADHD that just hammered you. But once again, I'm Ryan. This is the Weekly Scroll podcast. We sometimes talk about indie TTRPGs, mostly rant about random other shit. But every month we have Jarrett Crader, the man, the myth, the legend, the person of 1,000 credits, on to talk about everything
credits,
going on.
But someday 1,000 credits.
Is 500 feels like a low number.
Feels low.
It's 500 plus, but I haven't updated them since the beginning of the year or the end of last year at some point. So it's just a big list, and I just I add stuff to it. And here the thing is like the year to years change too, because for some things that I edited that came out or that I finished the work on X amount of years ago just now are coming out, like that's just it's the production cycle on certain products and books and stuff like that. So like Tephrotic, it took a while to get the printing and whatnot and all that done, plus international shipping, plus logistics and handling and delivery and everything else. But like I was hands-free on that one sometime in October, November 22. So
Wow.
So what I do is on my big list of things is I put that title on there, and then I put the word forthcoming after that. Then when it comes out and it's released, because if I don't put that down, then I'll forget that I've actually worked on a thing. I've done that before. And then it'll come back around like a couple years later or whatever it is, and then when it's actually released, then I put it on the year that it was actually released. Then I go back and change it, then I update the total for the previous year. So right now it's over 500. I would say probably less than maybe around 550. So we're getting there, approaching 1,000. I don't know. It's not really a goal of like doing like a certain number. It's a goal of like doing like the fact of doing these every day. Like I talk to other creators and other artists and things like that. Like it's the concept of doing it every day. Like if you want to talk about words, we're talking millions of words, probably easily,
Easy.
But again, like I don't know, it's weird. It's like applying metrics to an art form is kind of a strange kind of a strange thing to me. I'm a big baseball fan, which segues me into talking about Centennial Baseball 1876. Sorry, it's just over here behind me. I was reading up on the rules earlier. It's a little solo or duo baseball in the dead ball era simulator from 1980 something. Look at this beauty. Look at this beauty.
Wow.
That's some ball.
Wow.
It's from baseball. This was played in the real good old days. 𝗂𝗵𝘁 Games. Never heard of them before. Doesn't have a year on it. Oh, no. Here we go. 1994. Whoa, I thought it was the 70s. 1994. Wow. Newer than I thought it was.
It almost is, equivalent to the 70s now. You know how you used to feel about the 70s a few years ago, because time keeps moving forward, and we're
what
suddenly
happens
in the year 2024. Yeah, I don't know. I keep trying to stop it, but it doesn't seem to be working.
Bro, it's because you're getting older. What I got to look up that theory at some point, but it talks about like time and like why like an hour feels like a week when we're a kid and like a year feels like a day when we're an adult, but it's about like the knowledge of the amount of time we have.
Yeah.
And like how the percentage that we've used as a kid versus percentage we've used as an adult. And yeah. I feel like I'm now just this person who like every time I talk, I'm like, it's already July. Like it's already August.
July.
It's crazy. It's crazy. But you're a big board game guy.
Play a lot of board
I mean,
games.
that's why you have a game like
well,
baseball. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's why I also got that for $8 at I think I got it at PAX last year. So
Nice.
that's the kind of fun stuff I buy. Like it's why I'm excited to go to Gen Con. There's a game store called 𝗓𝗏𝗧, and they come there every year, and their display booth they're at GaryCon and PAX as well, but their display booth at Gen Con is when they bring all the dead CCGs. I'm also a fan of dead CCGs because I was junior in high school, sophomore in high school, 92, 93-ish, when CCGs first came to prominence, early days of Magic and Wyvern and Doom Trooper and Vampire and things like that. So anyway, their booth is also amazing and great at Gen Con because it's just like dead CCG heaven. Do you have an addiction to dead CCGs, Ryan?
I was into Magic as a kid, and then I got too into CCG that is now dead, just like everyone knew it would. 𝗏𝗏𝗧.
I've never heard of that one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like shocking nobody, the CEO just randomly shut it all down and ran. So it was cool. I just liked the creepy art. It had like a fourth wall break mechanic where a lot of the stuff was like, if it's a night card, you get boosts if it's nighttime outside, or if like you could do like you get boosts for like certain like Terra cards if you're like a certain distance from that thing. There were a lot of the cards had these like fourth wall effects where like you could, in order to use this ability, you have to be wearing like this kind of shirt or something. So it was, I imagine playing the game and just coming with like basically like a fishing tackle box of things. Just be like, oh, I have to be near
little charms.
Boom, there it is, right there. But yeah, it died, and I have a lot of it. Not that I ever played it. I just liked the creepy art and shit. So I collected a bunch of cool stuff.
It's called 𝗏𝗏𝗧.
Yeah. Meta as in like. Because it had a fourth wall break, and zoo is in animals and shit. It's cool. I got a bajillion. I'll send you a ton. I'll send you like a fat box of it if you want.
They will live here in harmony.
I'm not kidding. I have way too many, and I should put them away.
I picked up the sorcery TCG beta set not that long ago.
Oh, these are only from like 4 years ago. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then they. Whew. They went. Didn't I send you some MetaZoo, Hunter?
Yeah.
Didn't I send you
I have a ton.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is it just sitting somewhere doing nothing?
Yeah, absolutely. I looked at it not too long ago. So I was like, these are pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a game called is it On the Edge or Over the Edge? Whichever one's the
Edging.
RPG. No, not edging.
Over the Hedge, the DreamWorks movie?
No, but that sounds pretty fun. On the Edge from Atlas Games. Over the Edge is the RPG. And On the Edge is a CCG, and it has a lot of those fourth. Well, it too is from the 90s. I too have a lot of those. If you would like some of those, tell you what, I will trade you both because I got stuff I need to send to both of you for next month. No, you're gonna get some packs of On the Edge cards in there.
I think it's funny. I think you think that I have a lot of MetaZoo. And then I need you to know me like you know me and think of how much I actually have.
You have like a lot.
Like way too
like
much
an unreasonable
for
amount.
Like an
Did you buy like
unreasonable.
a couple of cases of
So
boosters?
my problem and why I should never get into CCGs and why I never did until this was I'm a completionist.
And you wanted to get a full set, and there wasn't like a manufacturer's base set or something that you could have. I gotcha.
So I have multiple entire runs of their cards, and it only took like 20 plus booster boxes each to do that. So yeah, I have a couple extra, like thousands and thousands of thousands just in a box.
Millions.
Yeah.
We used to do the same thing with the Decipher Star Wars CCG, which was great. Like loved the shit out of that game. Still have that. Still play that from time to time. I'll set up a light side deck and a dark side deck and just play myself. But my friend Daniel and I, we used to get booster boxes of that because we wanted to get multiples of the runs. We weren't like in the collecting. We were definitely in the playing. But like most CCGs, it's the number of them that you have in your deck determines how fast you're going to draw that card, etc. So for actual gameplay purposes, why are we talking about CCGs?
We're talking about like edging and playing with ourselves. But
you trying to trick me into publishing a CCG?
You should do it. You should do it. Before we get into the releases, I'm gonna do this because I did wave this around a little bit. Before we get into the releases for Spaceman, I do want to talk about something you did mention. We do have Tephrotic Nightmares here, which your name was on this, and it was like 2 years ago. How did it come out? Because as far as I'm concerned, this book is excellent.
Yeah. So I think Luke started writing that. It would have been in 21. Or sketching out portions of it. I remember seeing sections of it in 20 or 2021. Like some of the buildings, and I want to say I saw early versions of the Ashmouth Raiders. And I think at the time when he showed it to me, I didn't know that it was intended for Morkborg. And then when he got it all written up, it was just because I had been on the editorial team on Morkborg and Heretic and Ferratory and other stuff, and Putrescence on the main Morkborg stuff, the majority of the main Morkborg stuff, and it was they had pitched it. Johan and Luke had pitched it to EF. So I was project managing at EF, and I was also just like, I'm going to edit this too. So mostly just because I'm pretty protective of a lot of writers that I work with. I would say most writers that I work with. If I enjoy working with them and working with their stuff, and so I like it's I don't like to work with a bunch of new people constantly all the time every day. Nobody does. It helps when you work with the same people over and over, and you can actually work in a developmental capacity with their actual ability to write and things like that. And so it had been a hot minute since Luke and I had done anything, or I had done anything together. I think I'd already wrapped Swivers, or Swivers was in some version of Swivers was in some state. Anyway, but edited that and got to play boats with Eric and Will when we tested out Luke's boat combat, and that came out pretty well. And then went to print. Johan made those really cool those chits and the maps and whatnot. This is all like bonus. This is all like bonus material to me. I saw these things after they had been produced, so this is pretty fun.
Do you know the problem with these chits?
There ain't no problem with those chits. The problem with those chits is you need to cut them.
Yeah, so the problem with these chits is I'm not going to do that. So if I want to use them, I'm going to have to buy a second one of these books.
I guess you're going to have to buy a second one of these books.
Just so I can break these up, because I have a problem.
Don't tempt him. He will do that.
I know. I've done it multiple times. I have two Mouse Rider box sets just so I can break the cards up on one of them. I do want to say, so the credits page on this is is insane. Words by Luke Gearing. Art and graphic design by Johan Nohr. Editing from some guy named Jarrett Crader. Playtesting from Eric Hill and Will Rachman, and production management by Exalted Funeral and Andre Novoa. And for those who don't know who that is Games Omnivorous. That is a who's like tip of the top of kind of, in my opinion, which is one that matters on the show. The indie scene, and like if I was ever going to do a book, if any of those people's names were in my book, I would be ecstatic. That's quite the God, what was that thing where people would get like super band, kind of situation there?
How are you saying that we're the Eagles?
Sure, yeah, I'll say the Eagles. I was thinking like
the Traveling Wilburys.
Well, I would have been more.
Only if I can be Tom Petty.
You can always be Tom Petty.
Thanks, man.
I will say Tom Petty's Greatest Hits is unquestionably the best summer driving album ever. I can't imagine anything better than my elbow out the window on a sunny day.
Are you a Jeep driver? Do you drive a Jeep?
No.
You almost did something about your statement about Tom Petty's music.
If not a Jeep, though, what do I definitely drive if it's not a Jeep?
A Toyota? The opposite?
No.
I don't know what you're driving.
It's a Subaru Outback.
Oh, Outback, cool.
Yeah,
neat.
Close enough to a Jeep.
This book, to sum up this Tephrotic, really super excited that it came out. Really super happy that it exists. The book as artifact is really pretty and cool and neat. And insane. I hope like when it goes up for awards seasons and other stuff next year, I hope more folks read it than not, because it's some of Luke's better writing in a while. I feel like he just kind of went in a direction, and with the overarching design and statements and elements that Johan and Pella put in there, like overall, like it's really fun. There's just a lot of really neat places to interact with. You can kind of just get there when you need to get there. Like there's cool ways to get there. There's stuff, I don't know. It's just good content. Is what it is. So
it's fantastic. As you said, book as artifact is incredible. So it's the same exact kind of book as like Frontier Scum, which I can only assume that Games Omnivorous had some good things to say for how to do all this.
The same printer,
Yeah, the binding is incredible. The entire thing is black. It's like an ash black. Tephrotic Nightmares written across, which is incredible.
It comes off on your hands. It comes off on your hands, by the way. Like if you touch it enough and mess with it. Like I noticed that when the bubble wrap that it was wrapped in, that it came in, the bubble wrap was all black and ashy, and I thought that was pretty fun.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's definitely sprayed and all that with the book closed. So the secret that I had for quickly opening it instead of going page by page is, for those listening, in case you haven't cracked your Tephrotic Nightmares, is if you just take your pages and then go like this, they all crack apart super easily. But as artifact, it's absolutely stunning. I mean, they even did the exposed spine in black. It's incredible all the way through. These thick cardboard slabs on the front, inside and out, are black as well. It's It's incredible. I haven't read the entire thing yet. I've read a bunch of it, and as you said, it's Lou Gehrig, and then the layout, it definitely feels like 𝗏𝗏borg, like the next evolution kind of along the thing, especially since Johan did the graphic design. So it feels very much like that. And they definitely stuck to, for all the people who can't, use their reading comprehension, to a very readable layout, much like the Wrought Black Sludge, as opposed to the core 𝗏𝗏borg. So it's a very much still feels very 𝗏𝗏borg. But yeah, great book. I'm excited to have it. And
I'm excited to get it.
We'll see what we do with it. Have you snagged one yet?
I have not snagged one yet.
I'm surprised that those didn't sell out.
I think he have printed quite a few copies. The goal was to make sure, when I was still there, the goal was to make sure that there was coverage for that. So
that they weren't gonna sell out. That's great.
That's the goal.
Okay, Tephrotic Nightmares.
Okay.
We talked about that. New releases, including the one you sent me already.
Okay. New releases. Where to go? You have it in your hand, right?
This one right here? This one?
I know. Where did the copy that I have in my hand go?
Where did I put my copy?
I found it. Okay, cool. So July was a lighter release month, much because it's summertime and everyone is out on vacations and traveling in the Northern Hemisphere anyway, traveling and whatnot during this time of year. So we did from Will Ramen, We Are Dust. Our basic 16-pager. It's got some rules for dehydration. There's a bunch of fires in this one too. Yeah, what is it about 𝗏𝗏borg and summer releases and fire? Right. But super straightforward. Nice little black and white. There's 5 scenarios in it total. Oh my gosh, you'd think I would remember this because I edited this 2 months ago, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 new scenarios plus conditions and whatnot. So it's the next one in our monthly series. Super light. We're super happy that people seem to be digging these. And Will and I had a long talk the other day about what we're going to do with them. Whether we're going to collect them in like something like Collection of Death Volume 2. And we will indeed be collecting them in Collection of Death Volume 2. Not all of them will make it into the Collection of Death, but there will be enough extra stuff in Collection of Death to make it worthwhile. So I know Ryan's got a look on his face like, why not?
Which children are you throwing out to the wolves as opposed to putting them in the book?
So 𝗏𝗏ball 2 will not go in the book.
That's reasonable. Yeah, because 𝗏𝗏ball was its own. Yeah,
it's its own thing, and it's a 60-pager, so it's like triple size these or quad size, whatever. It's a little over triple size the normal zines, and then there's that. So that's issue 2. They think it's all over. We're going down from a monthly Forbidden Psalm release next year to probably quarterly as far as the zines go. Mostly because the Forbidden Psalm monthly was a challenge to Will, and he accepted it, and he's trudged through it and done really well. Much like Rimbound Transmission, that Stella did monthly pamphlets that when she challenged herself on her Patreon and whatnot. But having worked with 2 different people in editorial or project management capacity on those, like it wears you out. Like you just hit a point after like 7 or 10 months where you're just like, I don't want to think about this. I don't want to do this. It's like all work, because this work is work. So we're shifting over to more of a quarterly release for zines next year. And then of course, like things like Project 𝗏𝗏 / Legitimate Salvage, some other larger things, the as of yet unnamed superheroes one. Anyway, but I'm shifting away from beating up on our boy and having him just having to constantly pump out new stuff. But that doesn't mean that we won't do a Mork Ball season 3 at some point, because we'll probably do a Mork Ball season 3, and there'll definitely be a Dead Festival 5 next year. Dead Festival 4 is in the works right now for this year. But we're gonna definitely keep ones like that don't necessarily fit with, for lack of a better term, core Forbidden Psalm. We're going to keep those loose, because at some point we could do a Mork Ball Deluxe Edition and do like Mork Ball and then season 2, season 3, season 4, season 5, whatever those are, and collect all those into a hardcover and make it really fun and just do a short run of the hardcovers or whatever. And then I think we're talking about like keeping the Last War stuff loosely floating around and being able to be collected in the Last War. So yeah, the collection of deaths are going to be for Forbidden Psalm core, so to speak. So also new release, and again we've already talked about it on the show, but Ryan can't find his, but I found it. Forbidden Psalm End Times is up, and here's all those pretties. I'm doing this with the pages. Right? I'm for those listening at home, he's flipping the pages. I forget that people aren't watching. Some people might be watching this, but I forget that some people aren't watching this. They're listening to it.
They're just listening with their ears,
Right?
Describe every action we make to them.
Right.
We still do that all the time. I feel like we've gotten pretty good at addressing the people in podcast world, but there's definitely times where I'll like, look at this, that's great, isn't that wonderful? Right. And then I listen to it, and when I go back, I was like, fuck, like that would have been nice to tell them what the fuck we were looking at, but
Ryan is holding up a book. Just get a voiceover that just like a soundboard that says that. Ryan is holding up a book.
I was gonna say, if you want me to actually edit this thing and put voiceover in post, that's never gonna happen.
So, right? What else do we have? We have the newest issue of Red Solstice 5, which is the Bad Luck Run issue. This cover just fucking slays.
It slaps so fucking hard. I mean, they're all fantastic.
Yeah, I think I'm very partial to the look of those overall.
This one is a picture of a guy holding up a pistol, and he's got like these like cybernetic crosses for eyes, and he's got all this gear on, and in his right hand you see him in like 3/4 profile, and in his right hand he's got a gun, and in his left hand he's got a sword that has these 2 awesome looking bat wings coming off the hilt. See, look at what I did for those folks listening in audio land. I just described. I use my physical descriptors.
We gotta get you on here for those. So I have the first 4 of these, and this is number 5. But tell us what, for those that haven't yet snagged all the Red Solstices, even if you can't find them in print, you can always go to the Red Solstice itch page and download all of them
for no charge. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us what Red Solstice is.
So it's a 2 times a year hodgepodge cornucopia, what have you, of all things for your RPG games. It's coordinated and run by Stella Condre, and she accepts submissions all throughout the course of the preceding 6 months, and she posted a deadline. She has a Discord server that you can join if you are so inclined and want to submit this cool random thing that you have for example, in the latest issue there is a 4E D&D adventure. There's also an adventure that Sean Richer wrote that is essentially, you can type it as into your computer and run it as basic, if I remember correctly. It's just like code, right? So, and then there's stuff for Troika, and there's stuff for Mothership. There's stuff for OD&D. There's stuff for what else? I mean, it literally after 5 issues, we've had stuff for almost all of the main systems that people are gonna be running here and there.
Yeah.
There's D30 tables, there's D25 tables. Well, there was a D25 table on one issue. There's D66 tables. But yeah, it's kind of just a grab bag of like all kinds of cool stuff, neat stuff, written by a bunch of folks. Some of them are regular writers in RPG land. Some of them are they just come out and they just do an issue or an article here or there. Some people are working towards longer form stuff based on some of the things they've put out. It kind of hits that magazine situation that there are a few people in the indie sphere and our spheres, at least, that I know that are doing quarterly or biannually or annually, collections of miscellany and things like that. I think that's a vital part, a magazine. It's just a great vital part of what we do and how we make RPGs. And eventually what they'll be is like kind of, I equate them to the people will find them in 10 and 20 years and be like, look, this person didn't know what they were talking about when they read like such and such article and stuff like that. Kind of how we are now when we're reading stuff from 30 and 40 and 50 years ago and stuff like that. And we'll be like, they recently published, Wizards published the OD&D thing, whatever. I heard the book. For those listening at home, Ryan just made a jacking off gesture with his right hand.
We're just gonna bring you on every episode to just do that.
I don't even need to edit a voiceover because we got Jerry.
Yeah. But yeah, I heard that book wasn't good. I didn't get sucked in and bought it. I did pick up the Art and Arcana one, and that was fine. From a few years back, that was fine. But I didn't get the OD&D one because I have a printed out PDF of OD&D that I've side stapled that have my notes in them that, like I don't need a book about a book. I just need the book. Like that's kind of how I feel. But anyway, in it, they published iterations or variations on like early drafts of OD&D and whatnot. And, and everyone, put on their thinking caps and thought about it very hard. Okay, cool. Anyway, in 20 years or in 50 years, people will be finding Red Solstice and being like, wow, that was really good, or wow, that was really bad. We don't know. We'll find out in 50 years.
Yeah, so, we will. I mean, it will. Maybe Stella will still be making to a year in 50 years, and we'll have a.
I think she's required to now.
Red Solstice is the new Dragon magazine. But yeah, you know what I want to do really bad? I've talked about it a bunch. One day when I actually release something into the world instead of just talking about it, I want to do. And someone told me that this way it used to be apparently. Like if you write something. And Hunter writes something, and I write something, and I get like 20 other people to write something. And then they print out, like, if there's 25 of us, they print out 25 copies of that and mail it to me. And then I just take everyone's thing and put it together so there's 25 full copies of everyone's and send it back. I want to do that so bad.
Yeah.
And then release it as like a PDF.
There's like Trollhammer or Troll Crusher, and I've got some things like that from like rare reprints of or scans and printed of stuff like that, and stuff like that. What are they? Yeah. If you coordinate that, definitely let me know. I'd love to submit a thing to it, but don't count me in on helping you organize that. You have to organize that.
That'll be amazing. Listen, we have talked about other.
Home, Jarrett just avoided more work.
The funny thing is, I bet you off screen you'd be like, you know what, if you need some help, you just let me know. Like I'll just put my name on. But no, it's an intriguing process. Concept, but we've been talking about something else, and I think that once that kind of becomes a thing, I think this is definitely going to be one of the early things that I would like to do. I think it'd be fun to get the physical out there, and then if everyone's happy with it, we could maybe make it available for other people to somehow find their way to have some copies of it. But that sounds really neat. So Yeah, so we are Dust, Red Solstice, In Times. What else?
We got physical copies of Ruination Pilgrimage by Don Stroud, the Panic Engine book. So we're actually selling ours as a 3-pack, so you can get all 3 books at once. We just picked up a few copies from Don. Same thing as we picked up we have some Mothership box sets and stuff like that. So part of our deal with us carrying products in our store is they have to be stuff that we've worked on directly. Like me, I've worked on directly for the most part. So editorial.
Wait a minute, you were part of Mothership?
I was shut up. But anyway, so we have Ruination Pilgrimage, which is Panic Engine, which is based off of the core underlying system is off of the Mothership SRD essentially. And Don is also a good friend of mine. So and we worked on Mothership together as well. Neat. Is that a Mothership set? Oh, you got one.
It's both Mothership sets.
Oh, I got mine deluxe over there. It's too far, you know.
Yeah, I don't know why I got the fancy one and a regular one, but I have them, and they don't fit on my shelf in a reasonable way.
Because at some point you're gonna start running games at a friendly local game store, or you're gonna invite people over, and you're gonna want to proselytize a little bit, and you'll hit a point where, you know, I mean, collectors wise, if you want to keep both of those on the shelves, but you got an extra set of core set, that sounds like a gift. That sounds like poisoning somebody. Do you have any nieces or nephews?
I think I have a nephew. I do.
See?
I have one.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well,
I honestly, I think if you just went to the highest possible tier, that you just got both anyway. Which, I mean, of course I was going to. But I do think that your thing is the best. I don't do anything with this one at all because I'm psycho like that, and then I can play with this one.
Sure, yeah.
For those in podcast land, Ryan held up the deluxe and the regular cord.
Right. My goal is to, once season kicks on down here and there are more people back down here in Southwest Florida, I'm going to start working with one of the local bars and/or one of the local game stores and start running indie RPG night. It just takes a lot of energy to run that, and to kind of get it is more of like an advertisement for us. And a lot of people are like, but Jarrett, you used to run a lot of games. And I was like, oh, I used to run weekly DCC RPG, and then once or twice a month run some 5e or some Traveler or whatever else. That I used to run 6 games a month for public play plus my home games and stuff like that. But since we moved down here to Florida, one shop has moved, and I haven't been able to get a hold of those folks there, mostly because I'm lazy. And the other shop has a smaller surface area, and it's kind of hard when folks are playing Warhammer and when people are playing Magics to run a quiet, intricate Mothership game. You know what I'm saying? It's just a logistics situation. I do not want to in any way, shape, or form take away from the income of the shop from Warhammer and Magic. I know how this business works. Like, I'm part of this business. So it's just one of those. I've been lazy enough to get onto it. But now that I've said it, someone can write in and someone can be like, Jarrett, just go do it. And I will go do it.
Jarrett,
it's gonna be me. I'm gonna send you a message in a couple days. Be like, did you do it yet?
I know. I know. We're going to Gen Con actually in like a couple of weeks. So where I will not be running any games because I don't run any more games at Gen Con. I just go to Gen Con we have meetings with our distributors. By the way, we're with GTS distribution now. So if any folks are listening and they want to tell their friendly local game stores, their friendly local game stores can order through ACD distribution or GTS distribution. So if your store is a partner with either place.
So yeah, I talked to my local game store about Space Penguin on I think ACG, and I think we went to your ACD, and I think we went to your page on there, and there weren't many images.
Yeah, a lot of the ones that were previously there like disappeared. I looked at it the other day too, talking to somebody about it, and there's like 3 out of like 30.
So weird, because I send them in all the time, every month.
Give them.
Makes them angry. No,
Ryan is making the people's elbow gesture.
Call Michael, and no, I'll catch up with him when I'm at he's one of the folks I get to have a call with or a meeting with at Gen Con, and I'll just be like, hey, what can we do? It's because, again, here's the trick. I have to remember, this is just our second year. We're just going into our second year. We've been live as a company for a little over 1 year, so about 1 year and 6 months total. So we're in our second year, and now we're shoring up, like Dai is like putting more pictures and more preview photos with all of our products. He's going to be working on cleaning up a little bit more of the website with the collaborators page and stuff like that. These are all things that are like very real things that I too think about all the time, every single day, along with taxes and import fees and everything else. All of that fun stuff of running business, like it does distract from the fun of making games and playing games and shit. So
yeah, this is why I just don't make games, because then I don't got to worry about getting distracted from it. You know what I mean? Like that's my excuse. Yeah.
Right.
So I got a list of notes from this series of tangents. So first, totally get about like the finding a space. So back when I was balls deep in 5e, I started a meetup that got up to 350 members. We had weekly Adventures League that had like 20 to 30 people every week. We had all sorts of stuff. We struggled constantly trying to find a place to play until one of our members, we found out, worked at the local community college. So on weekends when no one was there, they opened up the entire like meeting rooms and like auditorium area full of tables and stuff. We were even able to put up like dividers and stuff between tables so that we could have like quiet areas and stuff. Like I don't know what we would have done if we hadn't found that, but that was fantastic. If you have a community college around you, that might be a thing that you could look at too. Yeah, because a lot of times they'll allow people to on campus to do stuff like that. So
there's a group around here that does quarterly large meetups like that they meet up at one of the churches. They use the multi-purpose room at the church. It's fun to go into a church and just say fuck. I haven't been at churches since I was a kid.
Struck down like that,
I know.
Walk out of there and lightning will strike you.
Sky God, Magic Man, Jeebus.
The old man in the sky.
We are dust,
anyway, right?
Are there VFWs in good old Florida?
Yeah. There's like one across the way, actually.
Yeah. VFWs
I'm gonna go to the local VFW and play Classic Traveler. They really let them relive that experience.
Hey, we had a Moose Lodge around me. I mean, of course, when I was on the East Coast, we had VFWs like constantly, but we had a Moose Lodge too. I definitely guarantee that people would have played Classic Traveler in the Moose Lodge. Second
what you're
thing,
saying
shout
is
out
I
Die
should
Sugars.
do this hardcore. I should do this hardcore
go
mode.
hard.
Yes.
Why?
Okay.
Listen, do you have a mode that's not hardcore mode?
Try not to.
Listen, I think you've already made over $250,000 in Kickstarter projects in like your second year as a company. So, listen, you're gonna get too big, and then all the indie people will start talking shit.
I'll tell you when that project is all out and good and fulfilled. I'll tell you. I'll happily share how much our cut of that is and what that turns into. So,
hey, listen, is it the number that matters, or is it that people see a bigger number?
Both.
Yeah, little column A, little column B.
It is really.
So I'm guessing. Go ahead, Ryan.
Okay, yeah, my last GTS. We have ACDC. We have GTS. Is this a continuing like leveling up? Because that's how I saw our conversation with publication. Because so much of it went over my head. I was like, okay, so you're leveling up into like the thing until you're eventually as big as Barnes and Noble. Is GTS just another distributor, or is it like you have enough credits that you are on the next?
Yeah, and they have a specialty arm that does RPGs, and especially an arm that does board and card. And our rep there, Scott, is really great. He actually found and Michael at ACD is also great. Like everyone in that vein of the work thus far has been pretty cool to work for. And yeah, so there's something like 16 or 18 distributors that work just in the United States that supply different aspects of games and hobby to different types of retailers who carry different types of games and hobby and stuff like that. So yeah, so ACD covers different stores than GTS. Sometimes they do overlap, and sometimes stores will buy from both, or sometimes stores will buy in particular from one spot or the other spot. Sometimes stores, depending on geographical territory, covers completely different areas and stuff like that. So the goal is to, yeah, and there is competition. It works the same way as the 3-tier system when it comes to alcoholic beverages in most states in the United States, where there are brewers, distributors, and retailers, and your retailers include your bars and restaurants. So this all comes from racketeering and prohibition, and that's just kind of one of those things. Systems just modeled after other systems. Ideally, you sell to your distributor, so your distributor then, like, the way that it works and why it's great and ideal is you sell to the distributor, and then the retailer, instead of having to deal with 2,400 different like individual publishers, can just look at a catalog and be like, okay, this is new from this person, this is new from this person, this is the cards that I need, these are the board games that I need, these are the miniatures, these are the RPGs and books and stuff that I need. So then they can just place those orders. So yeah, it's not really exciting when you talk about it like that. But to me, it's
interesting.
To me, it's exciting as in, like, it's fun to think that we're working in at that level of it now. So yeah, like you said, Ryan, it's kind of like leveling up a little bit.
I think it's so interesting because I think it's also, like you said, like leveling up in like the context of like business and distribution and stuff like that. Like it feels like, at least until you're so big, there really isn't like a next step to take, that there's always going to be like this thing to shoot for. And is that, do you feel like that's important in the context of like business and growing a business, to just be like, okay, we hit ACDC, we hit GTS, next is like this, we have to get this many SKUs, we have to do this, and then like, is it just like a quest list that is growing a business? Is that how it feels, or am I just like?
Yeah, and then the real cool thing and the real big question that we constantly ask, that Debbie and I discuss every day, is how big do we want to get? Like, we are pretty sure we know where we want to get, and now we're trying to figure out within the realm of what that looks like, how big what we need to do and what sort of volume. Again, we're only in year 2, so we're trying to figure out what volume of product we have to create, make, and push through in these different variations. So it's like playing an RPG. It really is. Like, people ask me, what games do I play, and I said I play RPG publisher, because it's a lot of it's a LARP. It's like a constant LARP. So
Yeah, but I mean, it's fun, right? Sometimes.
Yeah. For the most part.
Right.
There are some days where I'm just like, can't do this anymore. And guess what? That's the best part about working for myself now, is that if I want to take a day off, or if I need to for, physical health, mental health, any other reason, like if we've got a trip or anything like that, like we can do that. Like, and that's like, I worked for other people for 33 years. And then finally took the plunge and just said, fuck that, no more, not doing that anymore. So
yeah, I
you
can
want to talk
imagine.
about go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I'm lucky enough that like with my job, really, I go there, I clock in, I do the thing, and then I clock out and I forget about it by the time I hit the car. So it's like I can just
same here.
Like tune it to just collect the paycheck and pretend that like half my life that I sacrificed to capitalism just doesn't exist, which is kind of nice.
So you're
But I
saying
guess,
that you don't often wake up at 4 a.m., roll over, check messages with your printing partners who are across the other side of the world, and then deal with 3 different printing partners before you had your first coffee.
no, at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm often wiping ass. So,
Well, I mean,
it's similar, I guess.
But yeah, right.
Your own
But
or
yeah.
someone else's?
Right.
A little column A, a little column B, you know.
Little column A, little column B. For those at home, Ryan did not make a wiping motion. Now we did.
He did just now.
There we go. Now I did.
Okay, so let's break format and talk about next month's new releases.
Yes.
Because we have them. I have packages actually set up to get in the mail to you for new release, so we can discuss us. We'll just do quick cover shares for these 2. This
Love it.
one,
Oh,
𝗡𝗢𝗧. Look
I
at that
saw
cover.
this.
So
That's
Great cover.
So the interior is nice and crisp and clean. It's some of Sam Sorensen's like cleanest work to date. This is a great. We'll talk more about it next month on next month's episode. But it's an AI improv where players play as automatons forced to make television based on marketing buzzwords and keywords. But then there's a yoink where there are the rule summary fits nicely on the back. We're hoping that this is a first for us as far as like it's a smaller system like improv, like straight up acting experience. Chris did a really great job. This cover is pretty amazing. Sam's art, Sam's design is super crisp and clean. So, and it's pronounced 𝗡𝗢𝗧. Debbie has such a trouble with this, but it's inspired by the Nielsen household. So we're also hoping for a cease and desist if this gets enough traction, if it gets famous. So,
I hear 𝗡𝗢𝗧 and I'm like, why do I picture like someone like with their tie open like at a bar doing like an old Frank Sinatra kind of thing?
I mean, could be the same thing. Could be the same thing.
Oh.
You never know.
Yeah.
Just set your game with 𝗡𝗢𝗧 in a different era. I just mean
the name. When I hear 𝗡𝗢𝗧, I imagine a guy doing like old Blue Eyes like karaoke in like a bar. This is 𝗡𝗢𝗧. He's coming, you know. Okay, never mind. That's just my brain went weird on that.
Doing great, buddy.
What's next?
Maybe we'll play this on an episode. Maybe, do you want to schedule me?
Yes.
Schedule me for like, let's talk about afterwards. We'll talk about scheduling for like September or October.
September the 69.
Those listening at home, 69 is a funny word. The baseball related Chip Carey, who does the play-by-play for the Cardinals, has a habit of mentioning every time a pitcher gets to 69 pitches. And I thought I was just hearing things, but like the dude literally counts it out like every single time. And I'm like, all right, good job.
Yeah.
Good job. Okay. Forbidden Seas, Forbidden Psalm, Forbidden Seas. So people have wanted pirates and boats bits for the longest time. So this one is a double issue. So it costs a little bit more because it costs us a little bit more to create and make. But there are now ways to get boats for your Forbidden Psalm gangs.
Just the pirate board crossover.
Yeah. No, this one just straight from Will. It's got 4 to 6 different boats, and it's the cool thing is you can get some of the boats from the actual scenarios, so it's more of an incentive to play the scenarios and less just to pull the boats over and port them into your Forbidden Seas game. But the Forbidden Psalm Discord community has done a really super great job of doing up art and terrain and whatnot for their boats and their ships. So I'm interested to see. I can't wait for this to get out there and see how everyone's terrain like fits well with this done. And so it's pretty fun. So we'll talk more about Forbidden Seas next month. And then the last one is, and the reason we want to talk about this last is because it actually is going to debut at Gen Con. Look at that art. It's beautiful. This is
Fantastic.
the 𝗄𝗏𝗧. So I know blasphemy, but there's a little 5e compatible thing on there. This is written by Sam Kemp.
Oh,
This is the one we talked about, where
Yeah.
Sam is a D&D, like a live play D&D 5e, like dungeon master. And what we've done with it is in the bestiary section and in other sections of the book, we've got your big 5e stat block here, and then over here, look at this little DCC stat block that tells you and does all the stuff. This is part of a series that we're doing. There's 2 more in the series. We're going to see how this one does. But this is just the thing that I hear people talking about all the time and asking about, well, my group plays 5e, and what do we want them to play? And I'm over here being like, y'all, play DCC,
Yeah.
play DCC.
The series is called Play a Better Game from Space Marine.
No,
Please play something else.
I don't want to say better, but I do want to say different. I do want to say stuff.
I'll say better. It's okay.
I was
You
gonna
can
say,
say
you
whatever.
don't have
I'll
to say
say
anything.
better.
We'll
I'll
say
say
whatever
better.
we want.
Fine. But anyway, so the first in the series, the 𝗄𝗏𝗧. Guess what? It takes place on a train. Guess what? It is a bit of a railroad, but it also functions as a funnel.
It's on a train. What do you expect?
I know. I'm interested to see. It's so it literally says on the tin what it is. I'm interested to see what people do with it and how they take it in and do it in. To sweeten the deal, Ja'Cory Holder, who did all the art, made train cars. So each book comes with train cars this is intentionally left blank. There are 7 train cars, right? And this is one where I'm going to send you a copy for us talking on the show for next time, but then you'll probably want to buy a copy, Ryan, because you'll have to cut these out.
Yeah, I'll have to
just mess with the collector.
Yeah.
And then there are 7 train cars. And they're all clearly labeled. And then there are, check out these miniatures. These are the dragon's 4 legs. I don't want to give too much away about the adventure, but there is a dragon that tries to attack the train later, right?
Classic train adventure.
And then,
the dragon.
These are all people to use as NPCs or PCs, right?
Nice.
So, and there's 7 sheets total that comes with it. And there's even caltrops for like laying out a trap for if it helps, right? All on the 1 inch equals 5 foot squares, all gridded.
Right.
So yeah, super stoked. There's snakes. There's snakes.
It's called 𝗄𝗏𝗧. What there's snakes on the
𝗄𝗏𝗧.
train?
I'm
Tell me that's
sick
the
of these
joke.
motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking train, dude.
That's crazy. So, question about the 3 do you cut the 3 out and it's like a triangle of people?
Yeah. I actually have them here in my hand that Debbie comes from out. So this is the front left arm of the dragon, right? Because you can imagine a dragon straddling a train car to lift.
I can imagine a dragon straddling a lot of things, yeah.
Right. So you cut the dragon out, and then you fold, and then you glue the little tab.
Nice.
So that you have a triangle. And then this is the giant size. Like this is a little lizard that the lizard is cool. It has a little indented bit that I made the executive decision to not put instructions on how to do it. And Debbie didn't get it, which means Christian Kessler won. CK, if you're listening to this, fuck you. He won that fucking round. But anyway, this one has like a little indented bit. And then like, oh no, snake's down. And then the same thing. The snakes, they can be folded, and she's going to kill me because I'm going to screw these up. She said to tell everybody to get a bone folder to do it when they do theirs, because it's actually makes it easier. And then you just glue that little tab, right? For those watching at home, Jarrett is folding up a trifold piece of paper with a paper tab on it that you then glue to make a little triangular shape that stands up on the board and then can kind of move around.
I've never seen the triangle ones.
It really is like a paper standy deluxe, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get 3 angles on it. I've seen the ones where you fold them and then the 2 tabs become like feet. But I've never seen the triple one. That's really cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah, those ones are classic. These are ones that CK did. I think he did the same ones for Long Shot City or similar ones for Long Shot City. He's actually last year he actually worked up a prototype of some for me. I just got a bunch of F's from Luke Gearing. It's
F's in the chat, y'all.
F's in the chat. F's in the chat for Luke Gearing, guys.
And then it ends UCK. I didn't remember what the last thing I messaged him was. Now it makes sense. Luke, if you're listening, it makes sense. But yeah, Christian made he designed up those. So it's the thing that we're trying this out. We're seeing if we can print these where we usually print, with Mixam, and see if we can make them cost effective to have more of these things with a 20-page module and then 7 pages of inserts that you actually get to cut and craft and actually get to hang out fun. I know a lot of people have play mats and terrain and miniatures and all that stuff, but what happens if you don't? What happens if you are the sort of player who really, really, really likes the 5-foot squares and those grids and stuff? Hey, I like playing tactical combat like that sometimes too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's what we're trying to see how well this does. So this one, if folks are listening to this, if this episode's out before Gen Con, which Ryan usually got them out in a few days, so
I've been getting better about. The Instagram's even caught up. I've been getting better. Yeah.
So
this Cobra Express will be available at the Goodman Games booth all 4 days at Gen Con. Well, while supplies last. We're taking it there and then promoting it there. And then once we get back from Gen Con, we will have actual copies for sale on our store as well. Really, really, really hoping that makes a dent and makes its way through.
Yeah.
Cool.
Shout out. I want to give a big shout out to Debbie for all the work that she does behind the scenes. She's working on a bunch of stuff for you. Big fan. Love that. For those that have never gotten, I need to cover up my address on here. For those that have never gotten for those that have never gotten a box from Space Penguin, and if you're listening in podcast land, watch us on YouTube. Make sure that you can't see anything. I have to say, I love that there's always a stamp. Big old Space Penguin stamp on it. Yeah. But every game, every single one, there's like a stamp of the logo of the game that comes on it too. And I can't tell you how excited I am every time I get a box and I see a stamp. Like there was this one. I know you did the distribution for some of the stuff for 𝗏𝗏 𝗖𝗵𝘁. So there was like a Bioden's beard stamp on it. It's like I buy too much stuff. And every now and then you get a day like Christmas, and I gotta say, these are the packages that I look forward to the most. These beautiful stamps, and I gotta say I've saved almost all of them and just cut the top off. But after we've been talking, I'm very excited for that.
She's making you some cool ones, like some custom crafty designs. Like that's what she does. She actually makes greeting cards and things like that for all of the neighbors and things like that. And she made me these war toucans the other day.
Cool.
For those listening at home, Jarrett is holding up a handcrafted paper stick with trees on it and 4 toucans that are painted in different bright colors. War toucans are a thing from Wayne Snyder's Old Warlands campaign. There's a battle between 2 wizards about who actually summoned the war toucans first. But anyway, one day she just stayed up all night and made me a bunch of war toucans. So I think they're pretty cute. So they live over here in my pen cup.
I just have pens in my pen cup. The weak ass pen cup here. So that's next month's releases, and you have Gen Con coming up in 2 weeks. Maybe one day I'll go to a Gen Con. Hunter, have you ever been to a Gen Con?
I have not. Maybe one day I'll go. I don't know. I
Maybe
need to
one
start.
day.
Like, I think next year will be my year of trying to hit more conventions in general.
Yeah, maybe.
So listen, if you have a
probably...
convention near you and you let me crash on your couch, shoot me a message. You know?
Yeah. Where's Gen Con? Aren't all cons in like the middle of the country?
No, there are ones on your side of the country too.
Yeah, there's Comic-Con, but where's Gen
Yeah, they're
Con?
not as
Tell
cool.
me it's in the middle of the country.
Gen Con is in Indianapolis, which is not really in the middle of the country. It's in the Eastern time zone, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Map of USA. Indianapolis.
It's further east than you. Yes, like very much so.
Okay, it's east-ish.
Yeah,
south of Michigan.
As a Midwesterner, I bestow upon it Midwest, although it is a plains state. It is very flat there.
As someone who lived in Pennsylvania for a long time, I considered anything west of Ohio to be the middle of the country. But to each their own. Whatever. America's too big. That's half our problem.
I mean, yeah.
We should be 5 different countries. But anyway,
tiny Americas
that would still be bigger than almost every country in Europe on their own. Considering how most of our states are. Gen Con's coming up in 2 weeks. We're going to see you back here in a month.
Mm-hmm. And we'll talk more about the new releases that we just talked about. And then we'll have the October releases, the September releases, which is Night in the Museum and the Last War Redux. So it's more Forbidden Psalm.
Love it.
I can't wait for that Last War Redux.
Yeah.
Probably around that time, we'll be waiting for Hungry Hollow shipping. So that should be headed back right around that time. So those will be in and out. Really proud of that project and the way that works, and the way that it's like Josh and Nick wrote a great book together, and then with Roz on the team and Amanda and for all the art and everything else, like that book we're essentially right now we're waiting on our crowdfund platform to give us money so we can press the print button on the book. We're that close to it. So we kind of really drilled it, really attacked it. So and yeah, hopefully that means more physical hardcover books from us next year if it works out right and we can really dial in and refine the system. And I think we can do it.
There you go. So maybe by next year, I'll have the vast majority of my TTRPG collection off the floor and back in my shelves.
There you go.
We'll see, though.
You know what I just realized? Gen Con, we're talking about Hungry Hollow. The Bloom got a nomination for best long form adventure for the Ennies, and then the VR Dead got a nomination for best monster / adversary for the Ennies. We should have led the whole podcast with that.
Every day since the day it launched, we've talked about it here on the show. So
nice.
I think literally I found out about it the day before we started an episode, and I was like, Hunter, we're doing 20 minutes in the Ennies this morning. Went through all of it, but yes,
cool.
Completely agree. Definitely go back to our past episodes and vote for the people we told you to, because they're the best. That's how awards works, right? Vote. Yeah.
But it's a popularity contest. Like a lot of people get down on awards shows, and I'm aware of all of the pros and cons in the discussion. Like I've been in the midst of it for many years, for why awards are great, why awards are not so great, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm flattered that 2 of our books were nominated for those awards. I'm excited that for other stuff that I worked on, and my friends have got awards. It's a fun little shindig, and you get to go make a goofy speech, and then if you win an award, that's great. If you don't, you got a nomination. It was pretty cool, and it is what it is. And I don't know. I like it. I like the recognition. It's neat. I wish there were more of them. So, but then
I feel
again,
like there's a new one popping up every year. I feel like
you can always look forward to ours at the end of the year. We don't do
the funny thing is we talked about it too. Like, should we do an award show or what? And we don't.
We
don't.
Awards.
We have our end of the year kind of like wrap up where we do like because we do apply metrics to the things we do, our terrible opinions, and at the end of the year every year we go through and do like a top 5 for every category in books and a top 3 for every category for like the highest score that we gave throughout the year. So that's what we do. Maybe we'll throw the covers of all of that or something into like a zine and send that out. I loved how 𝗏𝗏𝗄𝗧 did that with theirs, where they had their little version of the awards, and then the only people that got the zines were the people that won, and I think that was kind of neat. So maybe we'll do something like that. But no, it's cool, and then you get to say award-winning in your Twitter bio. How many Ennies do you have at this point?
There are 10 that I lay claim in some part to. So things like editorial is part of the writing team, and so I take credit. I'm part of the writing team. And then product of the year and games of the year, Mothership and Borg and stuff like that, those have all been part of it, and the adventures and things like that. Like it's my opinion that there are a lot of people that go into some categories when it's like best cover art and it's the cover artist. Well, sure, I'm not taking claim for or taking a percentage for the cover art unless I did part of the cover art, which I didn't do. But things, in the more ambiguous categories, like there's I've got 10 of them or so, and then like 16 or something like that, or 18 nominations. So of stuff that I've been on. So it's one of those, if you're, as an editor, if you're doing your job, then they don't really know you're there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's never going to be an Ennies category for best editorial, or maybe for best editorial, like, and the fact of an editorial essay written in something, but there won't be one for best editing. It's just not a thing you can quantify. You can scour the book and be like, I found 20 typos. This has 16 typo. You can do a metric like typos versus total word count or something, but that's not what editing is. We're not Grammarly. We're not punctuation and spelling machines. Like, I'm literally taking your raw words that have come from your head and I'm reading them, and I'm being like the first person that is reading this, and I'm like, I can understand what you're doing here. Here's some ways to make it easier for other people to understand. Like, I'm a filter. We're all part of a sieve here. But there's really no way.
You're just gonna have to submit the initial manuscript and then the finished one and be like, read both and you'll see what I did.
Look how much I did. Look how much better this is now.
Right? Which, I mean, that's all so subjective too. Like, I mean, there are books that I've edited that I read like a few years later and I'm just like, wow, old me was stupid. Old me made some really bad decisions. Old me really had his head up his own ass when it came to, this particular punctuation mark or whatever. So
M- always wins. That's how I feel about editing. But
if used properly, M-dashes are fine.
I love them. They look good. They feel good.
Yeah. They can also be replaced with periods, and then what's behind the M dash can usually be turned into another sentence or completely struck.
Yep. Or just leave it with an M dash, because those are nice.
See, no.
One day I'm gonna write something and you're gonna edit and you're gonna be like, why
Yeah.
are there 1,000 M dashes? And I'm like, oh, just because. Just put a period and strike it.
It's okay. And
strike it.
It's punctuation marks are there. Josh from Liminal Horror, Hungry Hollow was just like nothing that really drives home the point of how many fucking extraneous commas you used and having to actually remove them all. And I'm like, I know. That's what happens when you export a PDF to me and I strike your commas over and over and over and over, But now he knows, and like the next time he makes a pass at things, he'll use less commas. I guarantee it. He'll use less commas. And there's also that's not to say that there's only a certain number of commas you should use. It's just when to use them, So
every time you stop and take a breath, put a comma. There's 18% in it. So that's how it works, right? That's what I was taught.
Yes.
No, I'm kidding. But yeah, so that's I think that's us for today. Very excited to hear about Gen Con, because next time you come back on the show, you will have done Gen Con. You will have gone to the CCG booth and
I got
everything.
my pink hat that Debbie had made that's got itty bitty's eyes, still is font. So if you see a tall person and for those watching at home, if you see a tall person wearing a pink hat, for those listening at home, Jarrett's holding up a pink hat with the Space Penguin Ink logo on it.
It's a nice logo too. I really dig that. You guys have a nice plethora of different logos to use with everything. It's great.
Yes.
Yeah, next time you're here on the show, we're going to talk about Gen Con. We're going to talk about the new releases we teased a bit with those wonderful covers. And I think that's it. Thank you once again for being here. We're going to keep doing this as long as you'll put up with us. Really great episode. We stayed right on track the whole time.
Yeah.
And thank you everyone in chat for pitching in. We had a very lively discussion, which we always appreciate. Shout out Di, shout out Christian Kessler, shout out Stella, shout out Debbie, shout out all the people that are making stuff within and around Space Penguin. Continuing to do a wonderful job and being, in my opinion, the peak of the indie scene right now. So thank you for being you and doing everything that you do.
Peak, yeah.
That's right. For those in podcast land, Jert is flexing. But that's it. We're out. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.